Endless Hustle is presented by Eat Clean Bro, a convenient solution to bring you the highest quality chef-prepared meals delivered right to your door. Eat Clean Bro is the contract-free solution for your meal prep needs. Made with all-natural ingredients and next-day delivery, every meal feels like you have someone cooking for you right at home. All right, we've got an Olympic-sized episode of the Endless Hustle as I'm joined by the man who's dominating the skate world right now, both on the board and off the board, Jagger Eaton. First of all, congratulations, man. Fresh off a bronze medal. Tell me all about Tokyo. What kind of experience was that?
Well, I appreciate that intro. Tokyo was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I really feel like I haven't came off that high yet, but overall, I mean, I think about I think about that experience every day, and I'm blessed to put on for USA.
So I've had Tony Hawk on the show, and that's the era that I grew up with. You're this whole new era where not only are you, as I mentioned, having success on the board, but with TikTok, Instagram, you've essentially built this whole other brand for yourself. That shit didn't exist when I was your age. Tell me about just this social media awareness that's essentially been created around you.
Yeah, I mean, social media has always been such a huge outlet for me, especially growing up in my generation. All my friends since we were kids always had Instagrams and Snapchats and all that. But again, I think skateboarding's introduction kind of did it all. I think that adding something that creative and that individual in the Olympics and having 8 or 9 guys out there doing all different things and skating differently and looking differently and choosing their uniforms. I think a lot of things did that. But again, the social media part of it kind of took me by surprise a little bit too.
So a lot of times with interviews, and I get yelled at by my producing partner, he's like, you follow the same format, but this is just how I interview for over a decade now. I always love to go back in time and really talk to people about their starting points. So my question to you is, where did it all begin for you? When did you decide, all right, skateboarding, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I got a skateboard for Christmas when I was 4 years old. And, we could all say that it was then and there where I decided I just want to do it forever, but I was obviously way too little. But for me, the biggest point in my career where I figured out I could do this for my life and have this be my career was when I was 9 years old and I skated mega ramp for the first time. And that's where I got my first start, with skating mega ramp and doing X Games when I was 11. And starting there, especially with a bunch of people I looked up to, like we had it was really Bob Burnquist, Danny Way, all these skateboarders that I knew and looked up to, and I was skating it with them. And I figured out, I was like, man, like I could really do this. Like, I love this. Like I could do it.
11 years old. I'm trying to remember myself at 11. I mean, I couldn't spell my name. I couldn't do anything. I mean, how good are you at 11? Like, are you able to do adult tricks? Like, what level are you at 11 years old?
Well, I wouldn't say I was, when I was 11 years old, I was just so in love with skateboarding. But again, I just had no fear. I just didn't care at 11. And I was so in love with skateboarding and doing it. And it touched such a part of me at a young age that I couldn't let it go. And I just want to be on my skateboard and do anything I could on my skateboard. And that's kind of where I started with mega ramp. And then as I grew with age, when I was about 15 or 16, I've been skating park and street my whole life, but when I was 15 and 16, I kind of grew out of mega ramp skating and started growing into making my groove in park and street. And then that's where this whole other love of competing for street and park kind of blossomed. And like from there, it was over. Those are the 2 events I want to do for the rest of my life.
So when do you realize you're actually really good? At what point are you like, all right, shit, I can actually really do this well?
Oh man. So for street, the biggest moment for me was winning Tampa Am. That was like the moment where I was like, okay, like I feel like I can be dominant in this.
And then how does your mentality change from there? Like when I always love understanding when people have achieved greatness and they know, all right, I'm going to be great. How does the mind shift from that point forward?
For me, the mind shifted from winning a contest to being absolutely dominant. That is what switched, is that when you get a taste of victory and when you get a taste of being the best, you want to continue to be dominant. And that's kind of where everything starts shifting. Like you start preparing different, you start training different, you eat different, your lifestyle is different. You start scheduling things out, you plan things, you plan backwards to plan ahead. Just all these things that happen when you become absolutely obsessed with something.
It's funny you mentioned that. So I had Roy Jones Jr. on the show last week, who's a very famous boxer, maybe before your time, but one of the GOATs.
Oh, I know who Roy Jones Jr. is. Yeah, he's a beast.
Dude, you got to hear him talk. I was ready to run through walls, man. Dude's like in his 50s. Rachel, my producer on this, can tell you, we were all ready to run through walls, but he talked about that exact mentality that you enter a competition, you're like, I'm not going to lose. Is that the way you walk into these things now? Is it like, I will not be beaten?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, you got to go into every single contest to win. Now, you can't go in wanting another medal. If you go into a contest not going there to win, you shouldn't be competing at all. And that's always been the way I've competed. But for me, I win in the park. I win months before this. I don't win on contest day. This is a marathon that you're looking at right here. Those tricks I did in that final at the games are tricks I've been working on for 4 or 5 years now, and dialing them into the point where when I need to do them under pressure the most, when I needed the tricks the most, I've done a million of reps of them. So it's not like anything I haven't done before. And that's kind of always been my philosophy.
Is it muscle memory at that point? So when you're in the moment, is it pretty much you've disconnected and the muscles and the mind just go over and you're in pure memory mode?
Yes. Yeah, it's all muscle memory at that point. I mean, and you'll hear this from a lot of athletes. There is no preparing you for that moment. There just isn't. Like there's no amount of money. There's no amount of money or skills or anything that could prepare you for being in that type of pressure situation. The only thing you can do is remember what it's like to do those tricks in a row. Remember what it was like training, and then just clear your mind and go out there and cherish every moment of it and just roll the dice.
You'd mentioned nutrition, and it struck up a thought in my head. What does a nutrition regimen look like for someone who's successful in the skateboarding world? Because it's one thing to imagine a boxer or UFC fighter, but skateboarding isn't something where we imagine that you necessarily are coming out with a 6-pack or deadlifting 1,000 pounds. What does it actually look like for you guys?
Yeah. So right now I'm not on too much of a diet, but before Japan, the biggest thing I was doing was I knew how gnarly the weather was going to be in Japan. So what I was having a good understanding of is making sure that I have my carbs in, because for me, I knew that I was in shape cardio wise. I knew I wasn't going to be phased by the weather, but I knew that the one thing that could get me was hydration and carbs if I didn't eat enough of those, or if I didn't drink enough water, drink enough hydration things, Cytomax, and if I didn't eat my carbs for the night. And that's kind of the things I focus on in Japan. But for me, while I'm on a regiment training, like here where I live, I'm just really focused on eating 3 full meals a day and snacking healthy. But I'm not really too into my nutrition when I'm training. It's really preparing for my contest and where I'm going to.
Is there any weight training or flexibility training that goes into it?
Yeah. So I train every morning. The training that we do is a lot of core rotation work. And that's just because for me, like when I land tricks or when I film myself and look back landing tricks, the biggest thing for me is having my core engaged and diaphragmatic breathing. And so for me, it's diaphragmatic breathing. Obviously flexibility is a huge thing for us because there really is nobody in this world that can train you to prepare to fall like a skater. Like the way that we fall is absurd. You know, it's not like we get punched in the face, or it's not like we get tapped out. We'll fall down 25-star handrails and split in half and have to get up again and try it again. So there's no preparing you for that. And so it's just flexibility and core stability for me.
Dude, so that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because holy shit, if I fell once the way you guys fall, I'm not getting back up. I'm like, count me out. I'm tapping out, guys. Good luck with the sport. When you start in the sport, I'm imagining you fall 1,000,000 times. What were some of the craziest injuries? How do you kind of get through that? How do you absorb that pain? You got to walk me through this whole process.
Yeah. Craziest injuries. Well, I mean, the gnarly thing about skateboarding is that the one thing it teaches you is persistence. It teaches you to fall and get back up. And I've dealt with, both broken elbows, both sides of my skull are cracked, both ankles, both feet, both collarbones. I've gone through it all. I don't know how much you know about the situation, but my ankle was broken in Japan, and it's been broken for like 4 months now. And that is something I've been dealt with forever. I mean, I just got my MRI results back, and all of my ligaments are like 95% torn, 2 fractures. And it's something where if you have a deep enough passion, there's something about being hurt or being sick that brings the best out of you. And that's kind of where you have to go to as a skateboarder, is that you love it so much. And most of the time we send ourselves down these big handrails and fall for the self-fulfillment of just saying that we did that. There's no money involved, no publicity, no nothing. We'll just do it for the absolute passion and love that we have for skateboarding. And so it's really just a self-love, true nature type situation.
I saw you post the x-ray of your ankle on Instagram, and I'm just like, how do you temper that kind of pain? I have like 100 questions around performing with something like that, but how the heck do you perform with something like that? I mean, I'm just trying to understand.
Well, performing with an injury is all about strategy. And that's what it was for me. It wasn't my first time competing with an injury. It was my first time ever competing with that gnarly of an injury. But the one thing you have to do is you have to simplify the process. One thing I did was I knew the tricks I could hit under pressure. I knew I did the reps. I knew that my runs were dialed, and all I needed to do and manifest was me making my 4 scores. That's all it is. You can't overthink it. It's 4 scores that you need on the board, and that's just what we went out there and did. And, it was obviously, I was going for the gold, but considering the situation I was in, I was glad that America was up there.
That's unbelievable. I mean, are you feeling pain during the competition? Is the adrenaline taking over and you're numbed? Like, what's happening as you're competing with that type of injury?
Man, let me tell you, new rap and old country music does the trick. No, I mean, that's a lot of the reason why I had music in, was that, it was, first off, there wasn't a crowd, and I'm an athlete who loves a crowd. But again, I don't know if you heard this from a lot of athletes, but they can hear pain. We can hear pain. I don't know if you ever heard that, but a lot of athletes hear pain, and I was hearing my pain. And that's kind of why that music helped me drown it out a lot.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was obviously asking why you had the AirPods in, and which, by the way, I'm like, I hate losing AirPods. I'm like, meanwhile, this dude's doing fucking flips in the sky with his in. It was awesome. Did you have any idea it was going to get the reaction that it got?
No, I had no idea that me wearing AirPods were going to get that type of reaction. The funny thing is that it's so common for us skaters to have music in while we skate. And it's so interesting that, having skateboarding put on that pedestal and having all those new eyes on it, it's so funny to me that people find that like so interesting, because, knowing skateboard culture a little bit, how big music is for us. And like, it plays a huge part in all of our careers.
It's funny because with the Olympics, there was a certain group of what we would call, I guess, breakout stars. You're kind of at the top of the group, like you did Kimmel last week. I mean, it's incredible stuff. Once that happens, you get the bronze medal, and now all of a sudden people are like, holy shit, who is this Jagger Eaton kid? Is it all coming at you at once? Is your email inbox full every day, or sponsors coming out of nowhere? What happens after that moment?
Yeah, after that moment, there has been a lot of media interviews and all that. But, for me, I think the one thing that made me so hyped and so stoked was the response that skateboarding received from it being in the games. I think that was like the biggest thing, is because the one thing I keep going back to is that I was in the most pressure-filled situation of my life, but I was having the most fun I've ever had in my life. And I really don't feel like a lot of other sports can say that. I feel like skateboarding, there's something about it where fun is always the point. And, again, I'm just so blessed that, these are also great questions you're asking me right now. So it also makes me happy that you can relate to me and we can talk about these passionate topics, that mean a lot to me as well.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm blown away at your age and how articulate you are, by the way. I mean, in all honesty, I talk to athletes and movie stars, and some people, you'd be surprised, aren't as articulate and as thoughtful as what you're putting into your answers. And I'm like absorbing it. And I'm like, man, the way this kid thinks at your age, I just remember myself at your age, and I'm not sure that I could comprehend or really assimilate the type of response and information that you're processing. Like, the fact that you are in the Olympics, like we obviously saw Simone Biles, the greatest of all time in her sport, what she was dealing with and how much mental health became a conversation, how much the pressure actually began to affect her. But then we see you and you're like, hey, I'm in this pressure filled situation. I was really able to process it and have fun. Is pretty incredible to me.
Yeah, you know what Simone went through, man, I totally understand and I feel for her. And my thoughts and my prayers are with her and her family after all that, because I know that pressure can be a lot. But I think the biggest thing for me was just cherishing the moment, you know, and being in that environment and really just being present, because there is a lot. And again, Simone's a legend. I'm a rookie. I'm a rookie. I got like, there's nothing going on. I know I'm going to have pressure in Paris. I know I'm going to have pressure in LA. I know all that now, you know, but again, I'm a rookie and I went in there. I went in there a kid and just having a good time and cherishing every moment. And, you know, that's the biggest thing I took from that.
So you're obviously wearing a Red Bull hat and Red Bull, you're a Red Bull athlete, but I'm imagining sponsors are coming from every direction. It's one thing, you've got to be a skateboarder professionally, but you've also got to think about your brand and your business on the other side. How are you essentially looking at the building of the Jagger Eaton business, what sponsors you want to get involved with, who you want to work with? How do you make those decisions, especially now that a new level of fame has hit you?
You know, I haven't really even thought about that. You know, for me, I think that the sponsors that have been there with me since day one are the ones I'm always going to stick with, just because of where I'm from. You know, I'm loyal to my brands that have supported me. Red Bull has been supporting me since I was 12 and a half, and they have gone to the stars to help me accomplish my dreams and goals. And, you know, especially Karuma and the Heart Supply and Bones and Independent and KTR, the skate park that my mom and my dad built for me when I was a kid. I mean, like, these brands that have all been there with me and stuck it out, especially going through this process and seeing what I've been through and constantly supporting me. Those are the ones that are always going to get the praise from me. And I'm just, I'm just, you know, just a loyal guy. You know, I can't do my brands like that.
When you talk about a brand supporting you, if I was showing this to a potential athlete and they were like, all right, what does that mean? What does it actually mean when a brand like Red Bull supports you? What are they actually doing? Obviously, there's a compensation factor, but what else is happening?
Yeah. So, I mean, here's a good example, right? So Red Bull about a year ago, or about 2 years ago now, I brought on a coach. I brought on a coach named Neil Mims, who's an ex-pro skateboarder and one of my really close friends now and is still my coach and mentor. Red Bull, out of nowhere, once I brought him on, they completely supported him being in my pack and being a part of my group and supported him through the whole way, got him each event, gave him the support he needed, and just went above and beyond for me, like right off the rip. Right when I said, like, in skateboarding, it's not common to have coaches. It's not. When I went to Red Bull, I said, hey, I need him in every contest with me. What can we do? And they said, of course, Jagger, whatever you need, we're going to get you. We're going to get him there. We're going to get you there. We're going to go above and beyond. And that's just one example that Red Bull goes above and beyond for their athletes.
Why is it so uncommon to have coaches? I've never heard that before.
You know, I think it's so hard for a skateboard to have a coach because it's such an individualistic sport, you know? But for me, you know, what Neil does is that he doesn't really teach me skateboard tricks. He doesn't really, you know, teach me park tricks. What he really teaches me is how to strategize contests to where it's easier and more efficient to plan for contests, right? So if we're sitting on the sidelines, me and him will put together a run and I'll go out there and do the run and I'll say, hey, this doesn't work out. Let's switch some things up. And we'll go, okay, let's switch this up. We'll put this trick in. Boom, we got it done. And then we'll go to the big section. We'll say, hey, do these 5 tricks. How do they feel? And I say, A, B, C feel good. D and F don't really feel that good. And he's like, okay, we'll do A, B, and C. So it's like, we just strategize really well. We really drive well together under pressure. And that's kind of a huge thing as well.
So you've gotten this like heartthrob status at this point. Is it kind of surreal what's happening? Like, are you kind of like, shit, I'm just a skateboarder? Now all of a sudden, like, I'm sure girls are hitting you from every angle. Everyone's hitting you from every angle. Is it kind of surreal what's happening?
Arthur, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Is I'm just a small town boy skateboarder. That's exactly what I'm thinking right now. again, I mean, it's all great. You know, social media stuff has been awesome. You know, all the opportunities is great, and reaching out to fans and like seeing all the support is amazing as well. But again, you know, the main goal is going back to Paris and winning a gold and putting on for Team USA. And my goals and aspirations haven't gone anywhere. And I'll be bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready for 2024. I'm excited.
By the way, growing up in Arizona, so I actually work for the NHL as well, and I host a series for them. Have you had any NHL exposure? Have you ever been able to get into hockey at all?
You know, growing up in Arizona, obviously hockey wasn't the biggest thing. But I mean, I haven't really gone too far into hockey. I don't know. I don't know much about it. Should I get into it? Is this something I need to get into?
Yeah, dude, we gotta get you into the sport. It's the best live sport there is. It's incredible.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I went to a Coyotes Ducks game, I believe, in Arizona, and I had a grand time doing that with my buddies. That was pretty fun to watch.
I love it, man. Before I let you go, my final question is, one of the main reasons that I started this show was to talk to successful people in all industries about the mentality and habits that make them successful. My question to you is, what do you do in your daily life? What habits do you incorporate that help you continue to elevate?
That's actually a good question. That's something that I actually do every day. I think that there's one quote that I say to myself every day. And no matter how big I get, no matter what I accomplish, I'll always say, hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. And that is something that I live by. And that's something I take to the gym every day with me. It's something I put in my backpack to go to skate with me. It's something that I think about when I put my shoes on to go skate. And yeah, I mean, we're never going to stop working. And that's something we're always going to strive for the greatness.
Final question. Since winning the bronze medal, what has been the one coolest experience or coolest person or something that's happened to you that is atop the mountain right now?
One of the coolest moments for me. I mean, again, talking to David Spade on Jimmy Kimmel, who's also from Arizona, was really dope. That was an awesome moment. But coming home and oh god, it's gonna be a little dramatic. Coming home and hugging my dad when I got home. What was was a really gnarly moment for us. My parents' history and where I'm from, there's been generations of Eatons who have tried to make it to the Olympic Games. I mean, both my parents are Olympic level gymnasts. My grandpa was an Olympic level gymnast. And we've gone through the process so much, and hugging my dad and knowing that we got that done for the Eaton family was a huge moment for me.
What was their reaction when you told them you wanted to do this professionally?
You know, what's funny is I've been so fortunate to have parents who've supported me since day one. When I told my dad that I want to do this professionally, I think my dad's first thought was, we're already on the way, son. This is what we're doing. You know, we're in this 100%. And before I could say anything, you know, there was already parks built, strategic plans to get here. And again, I'm just so blessed to have a family who supported me since day one.
Bro, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I fucking love you. You're like, I'm like blown away at how nice and articulate and sweet a kid you are. And I say that because I'm a 43-year-old man, so I can say that to you. But blown away, man. I hope that as you achieve more and more success, you are able to keep this humility, because you've got whatever that equality is, you have it. And if you continue to manifest that success on the ramps and everything you're doing, if you're able to keep this personality, the sky's the limit. I'm happy, blown away by you, in all honesty.
Hey, Arthur, thank you so much for this interview. Thank you for asking me real questions that I want to talk about as an athlete. And it really touched my heart, man. I appreciate the kind words.
Same, brother. Good luck with everything. Don't be a stranger, and keep crushing it. You're awesome, dude.
Most definitely, brother. Thank you.
See you, bud.